Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Latched Mama podcast. Melissa here. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, the Latched Mama podcast is a great podcast, if I do say so myself, that it really talks to kind of moms and parents in the trenches of motherhood. Today, we're doing something fun. We have Kennedy with us. Hi, Kennedy.
What's up?
Okay, so a lot of people, maybe, who have listened to the podcast before have heard us talking about Kennedy. Kennedy is now, at this point in 2022, he is our longest employee at Latched Mama. So he has seen us go, or seen me also, grow from a little baby business owner to a mom of 6 and a bigger business owner. You're listening to Latched Mama Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Wirt, busy mom of 6 and owner of LatchedMama.com. Join us each week as we talk about pregnancy, breastfeeding, postpartum, and all things motherhood. Kennedy does not have children. He's also identifies as a male, I believe.
That's the plan right now.
And we are going to talk a little bit about, I don't know, I'm interested to get your insights on what you've seen. Like when you first started and I had 2 kids and I said, hey, I have this little company. Can you come in? I think the first thing you did was a brand video, maybe?
Yeah, it was the first piece of content ever for Latched Mama, like the first official one. And I think you were in your first warehouse, which was about like the size of this room.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 of these rooms.
500 square feet. Yeah.
And your 2 oldest were, I think, your only kids at the time.
Yeah.
Or maybe you had just had a baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like a one-off gig. I, had been doing video stuff for a couple years all around the Richmond area. And I guess I don't even know how you got my number.
I mean, you were kind of like local. So Kennedy had graduated from JMU and was living in his parents' basement. And so he was like a really easy person for us to grab because he was like already living in suburbia, but like had some skills that I knew we could use. Primarily you were just doing weddings at the time, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's still to this day like the bulk of the business. We do a little bit of everything, but we just have a very specific brand geared towards wedding that does well. So
yeah, it's funny. I mean, I think you started doing content before like content was a word. I feel like content is like very much like 6 years, 7 years later, like has to be the backbone of any probably business at this point, let alone like business that has an online presence. But yeah, it's always been very interesting because, we hire mostly moms. We interact with mostly moms. So Kennedy is this youngish guy who's just been rolling up and like sticking cameras in moms' faces for like a long time. Has it been weird? I mean, you've had to get really, really, I feel like probably breasts kind of changed from your like guy world and what they were to things that fed babies now.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely like totally, full disclosure, completely uncomfortable. I mean, I'm not like, I'm fairly outgoing and comfortable in most situations, but I didn't know who you were. So you were like, hey, come through on this brand. And I'm like, cool. Yeah, it's like clothes, right? For like moms or something. Yeah, cool. Clothes. Like I've done some clothes stuff before. That's cool. And then you're like, yeah, so like there's just like, it's all about nursing. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, like moms, kids, babies. Yeah, let's get it. And then you were like, so like the shirt like opens up right here. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Oh, I wasn't looking. And she was like, no, I'm trying to show you. Yeah, I'm trying to show you. And I'm like, okay, well, but do I like look away? Like, what do I do? What do I do? And yeah, just the first shoot, we had a couple models out, and the whole entire time I'm just trying to be like averting my eyes because I don't know what to do because I'm just like, this is like, I don't know. But then after a while, you just realize it truly is like a completely different world. It's everything to do with just like feeding your baby and doing what you need to do, what's like natural for a mom to do. Which at the time, it's just not my world. I'm literally the complete opposite of the clientele. So in every possible way.
Yeah. Which I think makes it really cool. I mean, getting Kennedy's input on things is awesome. I mean, he's definitely not our customer, but I feel like you've kind of understood what we wanted to do almost from day one. There have been times Kennedy also travels quite a bit. I feel like he uses every dime he makes here to go do something else exciting that I wish I was doing, but I can't because I have 6 kids and a business now. But it's interesting because he comes to us now with ideas, but we've used other videographers while you've been gone once or twice before. And I mean, it was a train wreck. Like when I say like train wreck, like it was bad. But it's like Kennedy can come in and it's almost like he has learned our audience so much and learned like what I want and what's important to us in terms of like exactly what you just said. I mean, you just hit it the nail on the head. You were like, it's just about nurturing and feeding those babies now. And I feel like you adapted pretty quickly to that gig.
Yeah, I mean, half the battle just with any skill set, not just video, it could be whatever your profession is. You think like, I just need to be really good at that. But in reality, you just need to be really good with people.
Yeah.
You got to be nice. You got to be friendly. You got to be fun to be around.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably like a big area where like, especially in the creative field, sometimes like, I mean, I went to school for music, so I was around like high-end creatives my whole entire life. And those people are always not the easiest to like be around, to talk with and all that kind of stuff. So having personal skills and just realizing like why these people are here, what they want to do. And it's just like, they're just here to make this content. Like, let's go. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it took me that one shoot basically to realize like, this is the only reason they're here and I'm only here to help them. So let's do it.
Yeah. It's just cool though. I mean, it's cool that you were able to kind of put it aside. And I mean, he was just a college graduate dude who was able to come in and kind of separate that, you know, the fact that breasts had probably been sexualized your entire life. And suddenly they were, you know, tools to feed babies. What has surprised you the most watching things over the last 6 years, 7 years?
Probably that everything about this business and the growth and the people in the community is exactly what I wish I had in so many other fields that I've pursued that have all been unsuccessful, whether it's like within myself and like creating my own personal brand or with working with other people. Yeah, it's just crazy to think that, again, this thing that's the total opposite of me, that I was just like kind of doing on the backside of things, not thinking, is the most successful because of how passionate the community is and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty crazy how influential it, like I'm over here like, yeah, maybe I can do this video for this like mom company so that maybe one day I can like build this community of like travelers that are like doing like really cool dope stuff. And then lo and behold, the really cool dope stuff was the mom community. And it was like the opposite. Like I was just doing the travel stuff was like whatever. And it was like, it was never good enough, but this is the thing that has always been good enough.
You know, but yeah, I mean, you say it's not good enough. Like this content that Kennedy puts together, especially on those trips that he goes to, in my mind, I look at it and it's just so full of talent and so full of beauty, and there's so much around it. I mean, I think some of it's luck in life. I think some of it's hitting a niche at the right time. I mean, definitely some of it is the content for sure that you've made for us. But, you know, I mean, I don't want to get all like divine intervention stuff, but I mean, I think sometimes there are hands leading some sort of way, because there has to be, because the stuff that you put out in other places is just as great, if not better, than what's been here. Yeah, it's been kind of a wild ride. Like, and I think it's also weird because I don't think we've ever really like, I've watched other brands like sit down and have like shot lists and like, this is what we want to accomplish or whatever. Like I can literally call Kennedy and be like, hey, so we're doing this incentive for World Breastfeeding Week. Not really sure what it is yet, but hey, can you come in on Tuesday and make us a video? And you've come up with some really, really cool things. Do you have a favorite?
Well, I mean, obviously the biggest project was the Mother's Day project for me.
Yes.
That was like personally, I mean, even to this day, like out of everything I've ever done, it was just the most impact. It was also like the hardest and the biggest thing I've ever put together.
Yeah.
Because it was like conceptually it involved all these different people, which is not something I normally do because it's hard to rely on so many moving parts. It's easy to do small stuff.
And we can link to it in the show notes. By far, it was probably the coolest thing I've ever been a part of. And when I say I've been a part of it, I just kind of put my name on it and sat in a chair. I think I had like the cold from hell then too. It was terrible. I was pregnant, but it was the coolest thing. Kennedy had people, because he's not going to brag on it probably unless I do. He had moms come into a studio and had their sons come into a studio, right? Mm-hmm. And the moms didn't know that the sons were there. Right.
And the sons didn't know that their moms were also there, like on the other side of a curtain. They were just thought they were doing like an interview about Mother's Day. So they were kind of just like basically spilling their hearts out about their mom, but their mom was listening the whole entire time and she didn't know why she was there. So like all the moms came in like really nervous and like, it was pretty hard. That was the harder part because the guys were just like, hey, come on in, bro. Like, I know you. You're a friend of a friend or a buddy of mine. So just come on in. Like, I'm doing a Mother's Day video. So like, yeah, I know you. You do videos. Like, cool, whatever. I'll do it. That part was easy. But the hard part was being like, hey, I have to like, I don't know this dude's mom, but I have to like reach out to her and try to get her to come to a warehouse.
It was kind
but
of
I
like
can't tell her why. It was like really sketchy. It was just like, literally, I would call the moms and have phone calls with them and they'd be like, I don't know, like this feels unsafe, like literally, and like people shut me down. And then I had to start thinking more creatively. I was like, I need to get like the dads involved. So I would like I would call the dad and I'd be like, hey, so here's the thing, like you don't know me and I'm like this dude and I work for this company and they do like mom stuff with like breastfeeding. And he's like what is going on right now? I'm like, I'm just trying to get it out real quick. But like, yeah, so like I need your wife to come to this thing because your son's going to be there and it's going to be really cool. And yada, yada, yada. And he was like, okay. And he like still wasn't sold. Yeah. He didn't really even understand what was going on, but it was just enough with like half the dads to be like, okay, I'll get her there. I'll do it, but the ball's in your court, brother. And I'm like, all right, like I promise it'll be good. And that was the thing is like I just kept telling people like, I can't tell you but so much, but I just trust me.
Yeah.
And I would say that if you ask any of those moms, I mean, you don't even have to take my word. You just watch the video.
Absolutely.
And they're all
the video is really, really cool. It's like all the stuff that you may not be able to tell your mom to their face, or you wouldn't, especially as a dude sometimes in a society that maybe we don't really value feeling and emotion.
Right.
And then the mom gets to hear it all and you get to watch both reactions and stuff. It was really cool. You know, it was a really, really, really well done piece. What was your takeaway from that? Like, although it was super well done. It was super well edited. It was beautifully executed, but like, what is your lesson in terms of like creative and why stuff like that is important?
Well, I mean, there's lots of lessons as far as just purely from the creative side. I mean, to be honest, one of the lessons would be that it was truly like the biggest production I've ever done with so many moving parts and cost. I mean, I try to do relatively like low expense things for not just here, but for everybody. But that was definitely like the bigger project that I've done. And it didn't necessarily like perform from like a business standpoint better than other things. Like we could do a 15-second Snapchat ad that's like incredibly simple and basically free to make that can perform better. But it was definitely, so it was less of like a business learning impact. And it was more of like truly a personal endeavor and just like a meaningful thing. Cause I kind of did it. I have like a really good relationship with my mom. So in my head, I was like, well, I could just make some video of me talking about my mom and that would be really cool for her, but it would be kind of whatever. And I'm sure some people would watch it, but it wouldn't be that big. So I was like, I want to do something just like for moms. Like, cause I know anytime I like say something nice to my mom or like I make her feel, I can see how much it means to her. And I'm like, dang, like moms just love that stuff so much. So I'm like, if I can get, and I'm pretty good at like expressing my feelings. Like I'm relatively comfortable with like emotions and I know a lot of dudes aren't. So I was like, if I can get a bunch of dudes in here that have like never said this stuff and get them to say that, like these moms are just going to be like, ooh.
Some of them like just being there and watching it like prior to the edit and just, it's just crazy because I mean, motherhood is such a freaking thankless job. And I mean, it sounds crazy. I mean, I look at my kids and I have so much joy, but like I get in trouble for like trouble, meaning like, you know, they get grumpy with me for like, you know, forgetting that somebody requested Chipotle for dinner when I'm like halfway making through something else. I mean, just, you know, I mean, it's privileged crap, but you know, you want to know as a mom that you're showing up and you're making a difference. And I think that passion project hopefully was inspired a little bit by what you see at Latched Mama and like what you've kind of experienced through, you know, working with us. Has it changed seeing like kind of the community and what we're creating? And I mean, because you've been here for all of it. You've been here for the people that have left. You've been here for the really, 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 really bad days, the pandemic. I mean, you've seen it all at this point. I mean, has it changed your thoughts of what kind of like motherhood looks like or?
I mean, it's definitely just purely from like an education standpoint. I mean, there's all the breastfeeding stuff, and I mean, it's not just breastfeeding; it's everything like birth and motherhood. And I mean, I don't have kids, I don't have a wife, I don't have anything. So like, truly, I have no reason to know any of this information. I'm like looking up snowboards and stuff like that. That's what I would do in my spare time, and then I come in here and I'm like, oh yeah, like pelvic floor, like let's get this information, bro. Like, come on. And so yeah, I've definitely learned so much and like realized all these different hardships that people go through, and then you start connecting them to people you actually know.
Yeah.
Like we have a guest come in and I don't know the guest. So obviously I hear their story and I love it. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I think we know someone that like did that or like had that happen or whatever. And then you start realizing like, dang, that's what that means.
Yeah.
They're going through this. Like if they're really going what this lady went through, like that's pretty wild. And then it's cool because then I get to reach out, which is probably kind of weird for like husbands out there of like my friends. Cause I'll reach out to like other like young 20-ish-year-old people that are like newly married or like just had kids. And I'll reach out to the wife that I'm like kind of more friends with the husband. And I'll be like, hey, so I know y'all like, everyone congrats on a new baby, but I like to do things like, hey, so I know you had a baby like 9 months ago, but I also know that like everyone's probably forgotten and this is like, you're in the grind right now.
Yeah.
And you probably just had some whatever week and it was probably like the hardest week ever. And you think no one's thinking about you.
Oh,
I just want to let you know you're killing it right now. And they'll be like, yeah, I mean, it's just like, I know it's an easy win to make them feel good. So like, why not just reach out to people and like, do that kind of thing. And then I'm sure it's like weird. Like the husbands are like, what? Kennedy reached out and just said, you're being a good mom. Like we don't even see him. What is going on over here? I'm just trying to make moms feel good.
It's contagious around here. That's really cool. What do you, well, I don't know. What do you have content ideas moving forward? Like, I mean, you're here a lot with us. I mean, any like what do you see blowing up next? Like, I want to make the podcast blow up, like, because I love doing this. But that's hard. I don't know. Like, do you have? I mean, Kennedy dreams big, like big. Like, you ask Kennedy where he's going, and he's going like ice climbing in like Alaska for like 48 hours. Like everything that Kennedy thinks of is big, and it actually helps me sometimes because when I'm doubting myself or doubting the direction of the brand, I can reach out and you're always so positive in terms of like being able to watch the whole road and seeing us grow. It's an awesome person to have into my back pocket, my court.
Hey,
but like, what do you see? Like, what excites you the most when you look at the brand other than the moms?
Yeah, I mean, I really did. Obviously, I enjoyed like the Mother's Day project and stuff because it was more about like spreading a meaningful message.
Yep.
And I would like to do more stuff like that. But as we already kind of discussed from a business standpoint, it really like if you're just talking business, it's not the thing that makes the most sense all the time. But the cool thing about working at Latched Mama is, and this is the big thing I would say that I've seen, is this was a clothing company and it's really not anymore. I mean, yeah, it is. And it's always going to be like the staple thing. Like we're here to just make clothes and that's cool. And that's why we started. But it's like a helping moms company, like very general. And so the cool thing about becoming more general is we can branch out to more feelings and more areas of help. Which is obviously like overwhelming at times because it's like, well, where do we go? What do we do? And it's a lot on you. And I know like, you say I'm a big dreamer and a big thinker, but I know you are too. And we have like opposing days. And I think that's where it is. Like one day you'll be real big and I'll be like, whoa, okay, well, like let's, let's get some sustainable stuff going. And then the next day you're like, oh, we're whatever. We're not doing anything important. And I'm like, no, Melissa, you don't understand what you've done for this community.
It's so true. I laugh because it's true. But I mean, not everybody can be on every day. And, especially with social media out there, I mean, you get rattled all the freaking time by people who are, not happy with whatever is said or done or whatever. And I think that's what's so hard is like, we want to get broad because there's so many places that we are failing our mothers and so many opportunities for connection. But at the same time, there are so many opportunities for connection and it's kind of hard to know, what direction to go because at the end of the day, like everybody has to get paid, so there has to be, a revenue stream happening as well. So, I mean, do you try and blow up TikTok? Do you try and, make the podcast bigger? Like, where are those eventual, opportunities for more revenue and more support? And I say that not because I'm trying to make money. I say that because every single thing that we do costs money to do.
And the more money that we can make, and it's definitely, I mean, I can tell you for the listeners, as a pseudo weird inside outside perspective.
Yeah.
This is not a company that's really trying to make money, like I mean, yes, a company has to make money, but like they're trying to help moms, and you could see it because they'll make decisions that a lot of other companies wouldn't make, because they'd be like, look, at the end of the day, we have to do this. I know we want to do the X, Y, and Z, but like when it comes down to ours, we can't. We got to do this here. They'll be like, we probably shouldn't do this. And it's probably going to hurt us, but like, we got to do it for the moms, bro. We got to do it for the moms. And so that's pretty cool to watch. But yeah, I think the podcast growing, the podcast is just really sustainable. It's a lot easier to come in and talk, and it's very real, and people relate to that easily, just in every field, not only ours. So I think it's a great place to start and stay consistent with, because we can really impact people with limited resources and stuff. Like it doesn't require 40 people in a studio warehouse and a month of planning to do a podcast, where that's what it requires to do like the Mother's Day video.
Yep.
And I would say, the Mother's Day video is probably more impactful than a single podcast episode, but we can simply reach more people with this and affect more people in the long run. And if that's the goal, this is probably the better place to start. But then, yes, once this grows, and as it grows, and it is growing, then we can take those times to be like, yo, I think there's a really good idea here. Let's run with it.
Yeah.
And we can do those like kind of one-off bigger projects, because there's so many fields that we could do it with. You know?
My gosh. We come up with ideas all the time. Like, it's just funny because I'll brainstorm about the big video ideas. I mean, we did a huge kindness thing. We did a huge kindness video.
That one kind of got like shelved. Yeah. And that was really cool too. And there were just all the little things and big things that go into it, like we filmed footage inside of a Target, and like, can we post this? But like, we were doing it not just because that's where moms were, so we were like trying to reach out to moms and like surprise them with gifts and all this kind of stuff, and that was also really awesome.
It was a great video. A lot of people in it, a lot of hard work went into it. It was really, really good for our team. I think anytime you can practice gratitude and kindness, especially at kind of like a company level, you bring your team together. So it wasn't a completely wasted project. But what ended up happening is enough people's secondary like faces and stuff were in it. I guess we could have blurred them. I don't know. And then we had a little bit of a paperwork mishap with who we had waivers for and who we didn't. So we ended up tabling that video, which I hadn't really thought about it in a while, and now it makes me sad. Maybe we should.
That's one thing here that like, I get really jealous of some of the other brands, like big comedy brands, and if you know, like Barstool Sports or something like that, where like their target is kind of like we're going to do whatever we want, and like the whole point is almost to like say what we want and who cares. Whereas here, like, our target is to help people and make people feel comfortable. So there's a lot more stress on you guys, which I don't experience, because again, I don't know what that feels like. I don't know what it feels like to feel, hurt by some motherhood thing. And like, I could think about it and go, oh, okay, I get that, but I'm not living it. So all I can do is do my best but you guys are the ones that have to make that decision. And there are a lot more of those types of barriers that we have to get over. Yeah. So it's harder to put stuff together and have it be successful. Yeah.
It's a hard place. I mean, it's a hard place to create content, just because you don't want to say the wrong thing, first of all. I mean, if you do, you apologize, you learn, and you do better the next time. But it's such almost like a vulnerable population of people in terms of, you have the fertility side of it. You have, trying to get pregnant. You have the potential miscarriage side of it. You have the stillbirth side. You have the babies that are born with, whatever, they could potentially be born with. You just have so many different places that my brain goes when we start talking to the population, and so many things that I try to be so cautious and caring and empathetic and careful about that. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to do really, really big, meaningful feeling projects because you also want everybody to feel seen in them too. So you also have to also like kind of segment things out where, you know, somebody may not feel seen in that, but do we have in our tank one coming in the next couple of months that somebody else could feel seen in? Like, you know, if I posted, you know, something about my home birth, do we have the means to create a video where somebody who's had a C-section, you know, feels seen in the coming months after that? And the answer right now is no. So, you know, it's hard. It's hard to make sure that we have, you know, the content for everybody and we're not just, you know, going in one direction or not as a brand, because we do want to be inclusive.
And people have to understand like that a lot of it is just like simple access and look. And, you know, like say we do, I mean, the whole reason that video even existed, it's not because, oh, Latched Mama was trying to make a big point about like sons and moms relationship. No, it's because I happen to be the video guy and I happen to be a son who had a good relationship with my mom. That's why it happened. Like if I happened to be a mom who had a C-section, who was the video lady, then that big video project we did probably would have ended up being one about C-sections or something like that. And so it's just, a lot of it is just access, like coming up with the ideas, who we know and all that kind of stuff. So if we do a video for, you know, going through divorce or whatever, it's like, well, that's because we knew someone that did it. And when people go, why didn't you do, you know, something about this topic? We would love to. I want to, and we probably are actively trying to. Maybe we don't know the right people, or maybe we don't have all the information yet to tackle that subject. So.
It's just, it's funny. I mean, we don't even have a marketing calendar. I mean, to be completely honest with you, things change so fast at Latched Mama in terms of cash needs. We're not funded. So we're not we don't have, you know, $10 million sitting in the bank from some venture capitalist that we can pull from to try different things. So, you know, the money that we do have goes towards things that we can get done easily and
with limited resources. It's like guerrilla warfare over here on the marketing front for sure.
It is, but sometimes it works super well, you know, and like you said, the podcast is just some place that we can come like cut it up and make it happen. Almost the day you started working here, you talked about your mom. I mean, I kind of realized you probably had a pretty good relationship with her just because you were living in her basement after you graduated. I figured it was probably not a bad relationship. But I truly think that that's what sometimes is like so cool about your relationship with us and how you can just kind of like go in and out is truly like you love your mom. Like you adore your mother.
Yeah. And I love moms in general too. You know, no, it's true. Like I have a lot of, I mean, I'm like a pretty highly motivated person. I seek goals really big. I dream big and fail big and stuff like that. But, a lot of them are women. You know, I've had a lot of like really impactful women in my life. You even just is like a huge motivation for me, being able to see, you know, I have my own little business and stuff outside of all this. So, you know, all the same struggles that you experience as a business are things I experience. And I'm like, damn, man, you know, like we're crushing it here. I can apply that. So, yeah, I mean, you know, and just talking about a relationship with moms, and I think, we get really caught up in all the small things. And I say small, and at the time, they're not small. Like to the moms, whatever it is, the potty training, the teething, the this, the that, the finding help, the relationship with your stepmom, all that kind of stuff that we've talked about, those are big things and they're really impactful in your life. But so much of it relates to how you raise your kids. People are so worried about like doing it right and raising your kid right. And if I could, you know, say anything to the moms out there, it's that I can promise you that my mom did not get everything right. I can promise you that I remember even little things that she didn't get right. But if you just try to do the right thing and your heart's in it, like I think there's like a 99.9% chance that your son or daughter is going to grow up and love you with all of their heart and be so thankful for everything that you've done. So just like, yeah, give yourself the grace, like know that you're crushing it. Like literally, I think moms out there are just superheroes. They're killing it. So just keep grinding. Your kids, they don't show it now, but when they grow up, they're going to be like, Mom, you're just dope. You know, like you killed it.
They're going to be in a Mother's Day video that Kennedy's making. Yeah. He'll be here all the time. Yeah, no, thanks for that. I mean, I don't know. Like that whole like dream big, fail big type of thing. Like, that's why you fit in here. And that's why I am like, I don't know, like when you first came in 6-7 years ago, whether I thought that you would be kind of the quote unquote like last one standing from the beginning days. But it's really funny because I have so much comfort with you because I can look at you and say, you know, like, he's been here. Like, it's so nice to still have somebody around that remembers what it was like and can, you know, encourage me on the crappy days. So
right. Remind you where you came from.
Yeah. You are a gem and you are a gift. And thanks for being ours.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here every day.
All right. Bye, guys.